I'm 53 years old and I feel like I'm getting ready to start over. And as I think about starting over, there are moments where I am reflecting and I'm asking myself the question, did you fail along the way? And I want to be honest, I don't feel like I failed. I feel like I'm just taking a moment to take inventory over my life. And so putting that mirror up to my face, it hasn't been easy, but it has certainly been necessary. And so this is, I think, maybe day 10 or 11 because I'm spending the next 30 days of just sharing Lashay because I'm doing this for one other woman. Let me be clear about that. I feel like there are women who reach a certain point in their life, women over 50, at least the women that I'm around, and we just stop and we take inventory. So a couple videos ago, I was talking about how you're not having a midlife crisis, you're having a midlife awakening. And I think that a part of what I'm navigating is that I've got proof and evidence of I got where I am because I made some really hard decisions, but I also realized that there were some decisions that I needed to make that is also the reason why I am considering where I'm at 53 years old. So while I didn't think I would be here, I didn't, not at this age. I definitely didn't think that I would be here. And that, the thought of me looking over my life where I'm at this midpoint, I'm asking myself the question, did I fail? And I'm saying, no, I didn't fail. I'm actually just taking a moment to take inventory of where I am. I'm discovering and rediscovering, the things that I like and the things that I don't like. I am having conversations with people to let them know where I'm at in life. And I was saying this earlier today to someone. I was like, I'm just not there no more. Like, I'm not interested in doing those kind of things anymore. So while sometimes starting over can feel like you feel like you failed or you're wiping the slate clean, for me, that is not what's happening. I'm just taking inventory of where I am at 53 and how I plan on living this second half of my life. And so one of the things that I'm also discovering at this age is that when I think about some of the relationships that I've had, some of the relationships that have gone past, whether they were girlfriends, love relationships, I've learned some things along the way. And so, the Bible says all things work together for the good. And I just believe that those experiences have added value to who I am today as a woman, 53. Today is Sunday. I'm just coming in from church and I was like, you know what? I need to go ahead and do my video and share like, yes, I am starting over, but not starting over in the sense where I'm throwing everything out. I'm taking inventory of where I am and understanding the season of life where I'm at. And while I might feel like I should be further along, I'm not condemning myself for not being further along. While I feel like I should be more secure when it comes to maybe my finances or just some experiences and things that I wanted to have happen, it doesn't lessen my confidence. It doesn't lessen that I feel like God has healed me over these last several years as I've grown into the woman that I have become. you know, would I be lying if I didn't say to you that I'm grieving some things? Yeah, I would be lying if I said I wasn't grieving. Absolutely. There are things that I thought would be in my life at this stage and age, and they're not. And so I have to take a moment to release those expectations and to not be so hard on myself as I'm taking inventory of where I'm at. Could I possibly be grieving and feeling like, oh, will I ever get married? Oh, will I ever buy another home? All those things are possible, but they don't take away the fact that I know that this second half of my life that I so believe is worth me living to the fullest. I don't feel like a failure. I don't feel like I'm behind. I don't feel the disappointment. I don't feel the frustration. In fact, I'm just like, okay, what do I expect now? Like what we get ready to do, where we going. And so I want to share with you that I had read this book actually twice, written by Crystal Evans Hurst. It's titled She Is Still There. And so there's a chapter where it talks about I think it's in chapter 1. I think it's in chapter 1. So let me just read it. So in chapter 1, it talks about how you're recalibrating this beautiful life that you're living. And one of the things that I loved was that she makes this connection in chapter one about how she hadn't lost her life, but maybe there were just parts of her that she needed to reclaim. And that's exactly what I'm doing as I'm discovering, who I am. And so I don't think it's an accident that I read that book twice. I don't think that it's an accident that I am reflecting on that book because it's titled She Is Still There. There are parts of me as a woman who is 53 years old that's reconnecting to those parts of me as I'm living the second half of my life. And yes, I am asking the question, how did I get there? But I'm also not letting it stop me from living the life that I know that is mine to live. I also feel like, with me starting over in the sense of taking inventory, it's not a matter of me starting from ground zero, right? So I'm not starting with no evidence. I'm not starting with no proof that I've gotten this far. I've raised two children. I've bought multiple homes. I've been a landlord. I've started businesses. I've done some things, but I'm still taking inventory of where I am right now. And while at 53, I may not be doing the things that I was doing at 30 or 40, or even, at 50, I'll soon be 54. I'm discovering what works and what doesn't work, you see? So again, as I'm paying my life forward to the woman that's sitting in her car, the woman that is standing in front of her mirror, the woman that's sitting on the edge of her bed, the woman that's sitting in her office and she's running a business and running her household, there's still these parts that sometimes we get to this age where we are just taking inventory. And I want you to know that you're not by yourself and you're not alone in this. You don't have to feel alone in this, and you don't have to continue to do things that are draining you, right? I want you to know that whatever it is that's on the inside of you, you still can pursue it. I want you to know that you don't have to tolerate things that no longer add value to your life because you've been trying to be the fixer of other people's lives. That if you want to still be a leader, then there are spaces and places that's waiting on you to step up and say, hey, I want to lead in this area. If you still want to write the books or the blogs, pick up your pen. Someone told me to pick my pen back up, and I picked it up, and I have not stopped writing. I'm in the middle of writing my fourth module right now for something that is called Becoming Her Again, coming out of hiding, walking into your healing, and living the Zoe life. I started off with hiding and fear, and then I moved on to trauma and pain. Then I moved on to healing and restoration, and now I'm finishing up book number 4, and it's titled Insecurity and Fear. And I think it provoked this particular video because I could be sitting here feeling like, oh, you're 53 years old and you're starting all over again, but I'm not starting from ground zero because I have some experiences. I'm not starting over. I have wisdom. I've gained wisdom along the way. Am I doing things differently right now? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm doing things differently. Am I trying to recreate what I was like when I was 30? No, I'm not. I'm 53 years old. Am I trying to bring more alignment in my life at 53? Absolutely. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Am I being more intentional about my life? Yes, I am, because I got more years behind me than I do in front of me, yet God is still writing my story. So I'm being more intentional about how I pursue God. I'm being more intentional about my devotional time. I'm being more intentional about how I share my faith. I'm being more intentional about how I share my love for the Lord with other women who are just like me. So these 30 days of Lashay is not just for me, but it's for one other woman, to let you know that you still have time to do the thing that's in your heart. Take inventory, sis. It's okay to take inventory where you are. And while it might feel like you are starting all the way over, you are not starting at ground zero. I want you to know that the creativity that was inside of you at 30, maybe it just looks a little bit different right now. I want you to know that the vacations that you want to take and the long walks that you want to take, all of that is still possible at this age. It just looks a little bit different because you're reevaluating where you are. And I want you to know you're not waiting for someone else to come along and validate you. Let me say that again. We at this age, we're not waiting for someone to give us permission to actually live our lives. You are more than enough. You matter. When you show up, people are grateful that you show up in the room. And so I'm beginning to ask myself, what do I want for this next chapter of my life? What is it going to actually look like? And so I'm paying my life forward in this space. And I want you to know that failure would be you refusing to begin again. Okay. It's okay. It's okay for you to begin again. I want you to know that even if you feel unhappy in this season of life, you can turn that around. You can decide what actually brings you joy, or have you been getting along to get along? I want you to know that starting over, while it's going to require a little bit humility because you're taking inventory of what worked and what didn't work, don't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself some grace, because the reality of it is that there's a whole nother chapter of your life that's just waiting for you to turn the page. Because again, the book that I read by Crystal Evans Hurst is titled She Is Still There. And I'm telling you that the woman, listen, I want you to hear this, the woman that dreams, she is still there. The woman that enjoys laughter, she is still there. The woman that creates, she is still there. The woman that loves deeply, she is still there. The woman who wants more, she is still there. The woman who wants to travel, the woman that wants to write, the woman that wants to still build something. Because they'll tell you, honey, that at this age, why are you bothering? Sorry, I just needed to scratch my head on that one. Why are you bothering? What do you mean, why are you bothering? Because your heart is still beating and you still have breath in, and your lungs are still, going up and down. Yes, honey, you still have time to build something. The woman that still believes that God has something for her, she is still there. You got to pick the book up. I've read the book twice. I read it actually three times. I read it once on my own and twice in two different circle groups. I want you to know that while we have taken inventory of our disappointments, okay, and even considering our heartbreaks and our frustrations, the woman that God intended for you to be, she is most certainly still there. And I want to encourage you, you are not alone. You can get back out there and do the things that you said you wanted to do. So the last thing that I will share with you as a woman of 53, I'm just telling you that I know God is still writing my story. I know he is. Listen, if he was still talking to Abram at almost 140 years old, I know he's still talking to me at 53. If he was still talking to Sarah and Moses and Caleb, I know he is still. If he was telling Elizabeth that she was getting ready to have a baby, I know he is still talking to me. God is not limited by our timeline. Let me say that again for the one woman who's coming back. God is not limited by our timeline. Our age does not disqualify us. Our disappointments and even the things that we feel like we're fearful to even try. Go back and watch that video, because fear really is surrounding uncertainty and us wanting our preferences to be met. Even when you have had detours, it doesn't disqualify you, because God can recalibrate you and get you back on track and get you to the expected end. Even when we have chosen wrong, even when we have made mistakes, God can still redeem the time and get us back on course. Even if you feel like things have been unfinished, I'm telling you right now, God is capable to resurrect, to bring the things back together again. I know I'm talking to one woman. You might be 43, you might be 73, you might be 33, because I got some young ones that come back and they watch this video. I'm telling you right now, you're not a failure, because your life does not look the way you thought it would look. Whew. You are not a failure because your life does not look the way you thought it would look. One more time, because I know somebody needs this. And if it ain't nobody but me, you are not a failure because at 53, 43, 63, 73, 33, that your life does not look the way you want it to look. I want you to know that there is a version of you that God is saying, let's go. Get back up. You have not failed. You are not too far behind. You are not too old. It is still time for you to do the new chapter. It's still time for you to turn the page to that new chapter. And so, yes, I am 53 and I feel like I am starting over again, which really to me just means I'm taking inventory of my life. I'm considering what I like and what I don't like. I'm considering what brings me joy and what does not bring me joy. I am protecting my peace. I am reevaluating my boundaries. And I am trusting that God is still writing my story. 30 days of me. I am paying my life forward for one other woman. I'm paying my life forward. So come back tomorrow. Come back tomorrow. Come back tomorrow, because I know that there's another woman that is watching this video, and right now she's taking a deep breath. You want to know why? Because she is not alone. She is not. I am paying my life forward right now to say to you, sis, you're not by yourself. Take inventory, take a deep breath, and let's get back to it. Come back tomorrow. Peace.